All right, it is 1:01 Eastern time. So for the sake of everyone's time, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I know we have a lot to cover today. So again, thank you all for joining. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Lindsay with LiveVox and I'm on our marketing team. And thank you for joining today's LiveVox Learning Lab, introducing our latest version of our platform, U15. So I'm excited to be joined by our product leaders. Before we begin, just want to go over a few quick housekeeping items. To the right of your screen, you will see a panel for questions. Feel free to enter them in and we'll try and cover them throughout the presentation or at the Q&A portion at the end. If we don't get to your questions, we will circle back with you after today's webinar. This webinar is also being recorded, and the recording and presentation will be sent out later this week after the event and for you guys to share with your colleagues. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Jason to get us started. Again, thank you all for joining today's webinar.
Hey, thanks, Lindsay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited today. You know, we're going to spend some time with Boris, who's going to go through and share with you a lot of the great work our engineering and product teams have been doing. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jason Queener. I lead our business consulting team here at LiveVox. Boris, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello, my name is Boris Grinchman. I work on the product management team here at LiveVox.
All right, thanks, Boris. So as Lindsay noted, we have a lot of exciting things to get through today. So we're going to go and just hop in here, and I want to just go through the agenda real briefly. We're going to show you briefly. We're going to talk about our approach to the features we added to U15. Then we're going to show you some of the top features and capabilities. And then when we have time, we'll get to as many questions out there as we can. So, Boris, let's just jump right into it. Do you want to start with telling the folks a little bit about kind of the overarching approach your team took to the 15 platform?
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. So we really wanted to focus on 5 key areas and investments within our platform. Our first investment and the continuing investment over the course of the number of releases in the past, as well as those going forward, is really improving the overall agent experience. We're going to talk a lot about how we've really transformed the desktop, some of the capabilities that we've added, in addition, how we're now supporting back office employees. We've also tried to make the platform simpler to use and manage, especially from a data management side and some of the insights that we're bringing. And as well, we're going to talk about the maturity of our messaging channels, as well as our reporting in the form of real-time dashboards and reports. So those are sort of the key areas that we wanted to focus on in 15, Jason.
Awesome. So let's kick it off, and let's talk about specifically the things around agent experience, you know, starting with the CRM and ticketing updates, if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive into it. So one of the things that was very, very important to our customers, as well as how they're managing consumers, is the ability to be able to assign accounts to agents and have those agents have the capability to strategically choose when their particular agent book of business was being worked. And so we've been able now to create customized contact, account, and ticketing views. So now organizations can assign a group of contacts or accounts, or those tickets I talked about. They can be sorted in any particular order, and they can be provided to an agent, so the agent really knows what work they need to focus on in terms of follow-up calls, follow-up emails, SMS messages.
This one's exciting, Boris, because I know we've had this for a while, kind of in different variations, but this really gives some real power to the agents, and I think every one of our customers has some level of account ownership or responsibility where they have a queue, and this I'm excited about this one specifically because it's been a long time coming, and it's been a big ask for the majority of our customers.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, Jason. Now, one of the other things that we wanted to do is we really actually wanted to make the platform quite a bit more user-friendly, especially for agents. And so now, whenever you're looking at specific phone fields as agents are dialing out to consumers, at times positions or phone positions like phone 1 and phone 2 and phone 3 in terms of labels may not make sense to a lot of people. You can now relabel those positions so you can actually call them what they are: home fields, cell phone fields, workplace fields for phones. And then you can also restrict whether the agent has the capability to actually remove or apply consent to any particular phone number that exists within the database. So that level of restriction, but then at the same time, the level of usability enhancements now really sort of speaks in an English language, if you will, to our agents. And as it relates, we wanted to take one further step, not just do this for phone fields, but actually do this for every single field. So now whenever you're loading data into Contact Manager, you can actually have the same field type mean very different things to your portfolio. So if you are managing multiple clients and the same field could mean different things, at the desktop level, you can indicate whether a field indicates status, or it indicates value, or it indicates something else. So no matter how you loaded the field inside of Contact Manager to the agent, you can completely relabel it, completely reformat it, and reformat it for various groups. So this creates a lot of great flexibility for clients utilizing the UCRM product. Move forward. Okay, now what we also recognize is that our clients' environments are highly complex and highly complicated. And from that standpoint, what we wanted to make sure is that it really sort of interweaves within the complicated workflows that people exist. So this is an important capability that allows our clients to essentially call or create a function from our desktop to call a third-party platform. So as long as it's a web-based platform and there's an API to execute a function on, you can actually push an event into your system of record, into your collections platform, into your lead generation platform, your financial services onboarding platform. So you can essentially connect the actions of your agents to third-party platforms and really minimize the need for an agent to toggle over somewhere else or to execute a particular action. All the actions can be controlled through our desktop, and all of those events can be pushed. Now, and that's sort of like a data and an integration capability. What we also wanted to do is actually provide a visual indicator. This is very, very common for a lot of clients today. Like I said, Jason, utilizing third-party platforms. And in certain instances, what our clients wanted to do was to be able to, on demand, be able to open up an application without iframing it in, but just really sort of on demand. Whether you're doing skip tracing events, whether you have an order management system, and you just need to once in a while be able to pop it. What we have created is the capability for you to be able to add a URL and very easily on-demand pop it. But that wasn't enough for us. What we've done is we've taken a next step, and that next step meant actually passing variables through that URL to that third-party platform. So if you were looking to, let's say, open up a third-party platform and automatically do a search for a particular contact or pull up a particular order number, if one existed on an account or ticket, you can do that automatically or automagically, as we like to call it here at LiveVox, to be able to sort of expedite the process or the workflow that the agent goes through whenever they're servicing the customer.
I think, Boris, that's, we do so much work focusing on, average handle time and customer satisfaction and simple things like that to reduce that amount of silence and waiting for the customer, I think is a big win. So that's a nice feature as well.
Absolutely. And we've actually made other enhancements specifically in this particular area. If we move forward one slide, we've actually made the screen pop components even more configurable within our overall desktop. So now some clients said, hey, Boris, that's great. You have all of this information on the desktop, but sometimes my agent just needs to see, 4 to 5 things to maybe authenticate the caller, and then they want to be able to close that off. So now we've added a pop-up component within the desktop, so you can literally pop that open. You could see just the vital details. You can then close it off, and it disappears from your screen. So there's a lot of configurability that's been added to the desktop itself. If we move forward one slide. We've also added, this is the near and dear one to my heart, who doesn't have a Notepad, right? and I think this is where you don't want your agents to have sticky notes, especially as many are working from home these days. And so we've created a persistent Notepad within the agent desktop environment. It follows the agent along from call to call, from action to action. It's essentially retained, or the information there is retained as long as the agent stays logged in. And it can be moved around, so you can always have it at the forefront of any conversation, or it's sort of a floating on top feature. So a very nice, small little ad, but very valuable.
Yeah, and it is valuable. I mean, especially, I think hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel here, and folks are going to start getting back into the contact center. And a lot of contact centers have requirements to be paperless. So I mean, this is a nice feature for agents to be able to jot down notes if they need to.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But a couple of nice other features that are really sort of compliance focused. I think a lot of folks here on the line are very familiar with our secure payment capture product. I think we've gotten a lot of really good feedback regarding the fact that agents could hear some DTMF tones. In our advanced secure payment capture process, we now suppress those DTMF tones. So as a lot of clients have asked, we've sort of met the request on this. We've also added some capability in terms of how scheduled calls within the IVR are being processed. So now we essentially have a fallback mechanism. If there wasn't a particular skill that was assigned on that callback call, it will overflow and offer that call to available agents. So we've made some nice enhancements there from a usability standpoint as well.
So I think now we're going to transition a little bit into a bit of functionality that's well, some of the newer things we're doing. So you want to talk a little bit about the back office agents and the PBX support that we're starting to work on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of folks may not be familiar with this functionality, and the question may be, well, why are you guys opening this up? Well, what we noticed as the adoption starts to accelerate of our CRM and our ticketing platforms, we have more and more, I'll call them contact center agents in air quotes, that are not traditional, meaning they're not taking a call right after a call adjacent, just like a normal contact center agent does. They're doing quite a few tasks in between, and they need quite a bit of a different functionality and almost like a different persona. And we really wanted to design for this persona because we heard feedback from our clients saying, well, what worked in the traditional contact center doesn't work as well for the back office folks. So now you can actually create and configure a back office employee. And we've made some really nice enhancements. One, we wanted to be able to, for folks to be able to log in very easily. These folks don't log in every day or between lunch or between breaks. They kind of log in for the day and they want it to be easy. And so in order to make it easy, we've added some nice features. Like one of the features we've added in is to remember me. So that way you don't need to generate the password or you don't need to remember the password. So with a one click of a button, you can essentially sign into the platform. And this works, of course, for browser as well as ADN-based sort of accounts, if you will. Move forward. One of the other things that we've done is we've actually enhanced a little bit of what inbound calls coming in look like to folks within the platform. One of the things that we've added is the CNAM capability. So if a CNAM exists for an inbound call, this will actually show up to the agent or the person receiving the call, so they could say, hey, look, this is a person that I know and recognize, and I'd like to take their call. Now, again, if it's available. If it's not available, obviously it'll show unknown, but this is sort of like a nice feature. Think of it as caller ID on steroids, Jason. Move forward. And then we've also made a couple of other enhancements, again, to those back office employees. So one of the nice ones that I love a lot is the ability now to have the ADN desktop float and be always on top. So if you're an individual that has other applications going on, you're working on other systems, again, you're once in a while receiving phone calls, you can have the panel essentially floating on top and floating on top of all of your applications. So think of it as a phone sort of being located in your upper right-hand, left-hand corner, wherever you feel most comfortable. And when a call comes in or whenever you need to make one, it's sort of right there and available. We also made some nice enhancements for back office employees. When they sign in, they're automatically put in ready. And if they minimize the ADN function, they'll still receive notifications to say, oh, look, there's a message, a chat message that came in for me, or there's a phone call that's coming in for me, and I know all of these things.
Yeah, Boris, that's been a popular request too in the past. I like to call kind of the traditional call center agent, we call them headsets, right? They're the ones that are headsets, constantly communicating with customers. But for those that aren't, that notification that a call or a chat or something is coming in while they're doing other things is a very valuable addition. So I really like that one as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the idea for us was also to make this easy to configure, Jason, because I know people can shift. Organizations want the flexibility to have different people have different functions. So what you're looking at is the desktop mode. We've created the notion of this knowledge worker mode. And so you can enable this today for any one of your already existing employees or switch over, maybe folks that are better fit into this kind of environment. And then that essentially translates and moves all of those functions that were, traditional call center function to be more like a back office function. Again, it's a few check marks here on the under the agent setup component within the LiveVox platform. Okay, let's move forward. And this is what I talked a little bit about before, just streamlining the outer ready and service login. So again, for back office employees, if you're assigned to one service, you won't need to actually come back in and choose a service when you're only assigned to one. So just making things easy. Move forward. What are some of the other enhancements? Well, some of the other enhancements that we made for the knowledge worker as well is to be able to provide them call history. So now whenever an individual signs in, they'll be able to actually see the entire call history of all the conversations or all the calls that they've made, for the entire time they've been logged into the platform. They can come back in, call somebody they talked to earlier in the day, or maybe call somebody back whose call they missed. So it's a pretty important capability, and we want to offer that as well. If we move forward, in addition to that, what we also wanted to offer are personal phone books. So while we have Contact Manager, and that's a really great utility for managing all of your consumer profiles or all of the sort of folks you have a relationship with from a business perspective, we also know that you have other folks who you call quite often, whether there are other employees within your company or whether there are people who are sort of outside. Maybe you're an insurance company, you call lots of like claims directors, or maybe you make other frequent phone calls to other companies. You can actually save them, and this is your own personal phone book, and it's individual for every individual, and you can add other phone numbers here, and it's of course permanently saved for you as a client or as a customer. Now, a couple of enhancements here as well. As we transition our clients from voicemail 1.0 to 2.0, there's one of the enhancements that we've made that honestly is a pretty good one around the voicemail capability. Now, if you're as an individual, you can actually create your own personal voicemail greeting, and you can have sort of that sense of ownership. In addition to that, of course, we added the E911 capability. I know this was one was very, very important for folks. So that's been done there as well. Again, sort of rounding off our back office offering. Just know that this is an area of investment for us over multiple releases going forward. So you should expect this to mature even more so over the course of the next year or two.
Yeah, and Boris, that's a great point as we transition here. That was a lot of stuff on the agent side, the experience side, but I know your teams have been working really hard on the data management, the analytics, not only for this release, but really to position us for what's coming in the next couple. So do you want to talk a little bit about what the changes have you made to contact management segmentation to start that off? Yeah,
absolutely. I'd be glad to. So let's dive into it. One, which is very, very important, is how our clients create campaigns out of Contact Manager. And we've done a couple of different things in here. The first one, which is a great one, hats off to the team. It's gotten a little bit of a refresher from a UI perspective, made it a little bit more modern, a little bit sort of easier to use, a little bit more white spacing and layout. So hats off to the team that was able to accomplish that. In addition to that, one of the things that we've done is an enhancement in terms of how criteria is created. For folks who are maybe not familiar in the steps that it took to do this, this used to take a little bit longer than we would have liked, meaning that let's say you wanted to create a criteria to call all of the people who you didn't connect with over the course of the last 7 days. Well, you needed to first define the criteria, and then you needed to go to Contact Manager, and then from there you needed to select it. We essentially shrunk that process into one. You no longer need to define the criteria. You can just go directly to Contact Manager and say, give me everybody who I did not have a conversation with over the course of the last 7 days. So So that process of creating campaigns, we essentially sort of shrunk that and made that quite a bit easier. Then also what we noticed is that you know, a lot of clients had data in a variety of fields, but in certain instances, certain fields were empty. And you can now search for empty fields. So in other words, we kind of recognized that gap that we had in filtering, and we've addressed it where you could say, hey, give me everybody who doesn't have a status, or give me everybody who maybe has a blank in it. So we're getting further and further advanced in terms of rounding off this particular segmentation capability. If we move forward one slide. And then also, we've also enhanced the number of campaign jobs. So this one, I know a lot of clients have given us feedback on, and we've responded to this as well. We, of course, have filtering capability that allows you to have sort of like a waterfall set, and that only counts as one campaign. But that wasn't enough for us, because what we saw is that clients were starting to have very, very complicated segmentation logic, and they just didn't want it to be that complicated. They wanted to create a simple row and a simple line of a campaign and have that execute. And so we've increased the number of campaign jobs to 20 now. So you can actually create and automate and have 20 campaign jobs scheduled. That's not to say that 20 campaigns is all you can run within our platform. Each campaign can have sub-campaigns that it runs, but we've created this as a way for clients to be able to automate this, you know, quite a bit easier. Okay. Now, this one is a really great one. This really speaks to the automation that we're starting to build into our platform, and this is really intelligent triggered on workflows. This is specifically tied to our U-ticketing product, and in the U-ticketing product now, you can create automation and automated events that occur based on ticket types, based on time errors, based on certain things. So an example here that you're seeing is that when a ticket is set to critical within the platform, an email or an SMS can actually be sent outside of our platform to a particular manager or to a particular team. And this ticket could be automatically assigned to a specific user within our platform. And so this is pretty important because clients are really getting creative already with what they're doing today. And we've really sort of doubled down on automation and trigger events within the platform. So you really can sort of evaluate and create communication criteria off of the ticket. And we got this really as a request that culminated in the notion that you know, there's just like so many one-off events and so much communication that needs to occur. And we wanted to make this quite a bit easier to set up in our platform.
Boris, this to me is significant, like you said, because I mean, using just a simple example, an agent is talking to a customer and they dispute a bill. Right. Knowing that triggered alerts will go out and that we can reliably have this communication so that the agent isn't responsible for following up, you know, 4 hours later or 6 hours later, because they're on to the next customer. Knowing that these triggered and reliable events can take place is a really big deal. And that was just one example, but I mean, the options are endless with this. You're correct.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on, Jason. And we've already seen basically hockey stick adoption from our clients on our ticketing application. And I think the number of use cases our clients are coming up with is sort of growing exponentially. We just want to make it easy for them. All right. And then coming back to data management around DNC. So I know this one was sort of a capability that a lot of clients were asking for, which is being able to import easily files specifically into the phone DNC, SMS, and email DNC. So now you can actually create a standard upload process and a standard input filter process that can support DNC layouts. And on a daily basis, hourly basis, whatever have you, you can just drop those files in there. It will read the input filter and will automatically, or automagically, like I said before, Jason, upload the file into specific DNC list. So a request that we've gotten from a lot of our clients, and we heard you, clients, we've made it a bit easier for you to manage this.
So that's all awesome stuff. So this is one of my favorite conversations. You want to talk a little bit about, you know, the enhancements we made to the business intelligence piece and speech analytics?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be glad to, Jason. So if we dive into it, we now have a number of our clients utilizing Contact Manager and at the same time utilizing our business intelligence tool. And, I'm so thrilled for our WFO team in being able to provide this capability, because it really goes to a vision that they've had over the last number of years, which is being able to not only bring activity data into the platform, but also to bring in contact data into the platform. And so what that means, Jason, is that it isn't just about saying, hey, how quickly are we answering calls or emails being sent out, but it's actually being able to analyze and say, well, who are the customers who are calling us frequently? Like, what is their actual makeup based on the contact data that I've provided to LiveVox? Is it people who maybe recently made a purchase with our company who are calling us? Or is it people in a specific high value segment that are calling us? And I think what this also allows you to do is it actually allows you to marry the data between activity and contact, which is super powerful. We always get questions, is email or an SMS, is that a millennial thing? Is that a young customer thing? Is that a high value, low value customer thing? Well, now you can answer these questions by utilizing both the combination of, the variables of the contact as well as the results of your campaigns, and marry the two and say, hey, it looks like we're having success with this particular segment. And our business intelligence tool really provides us that.
Yeah, and we're really excited about this one internally. And for those of you that have worked with folks on my team before, we're going to spend some time building out some new reports with these new metrics and some dashboards to really kind of spark that creative energy to our customers, so they can kind of get a feel for exactly what Boris is talking about. To understand handle times and first call resolution and conversion rates by segments of your customer type, pretty big deal. So this is a really powerful piece of data we're bringing into the tool.
Yeah, Jason, and one thing I want to add on this one as well, what really also makes it powerful is the fact that this has been automated in a sense. So let me give you a particular example. Today, you have a particular input file that's built in, and tomorrow you're looking to bring an additional field. Well, in the days before, if you will, that meant defining that attribute in Contact Manager, which you still have to do, but also going and defining that attribute in your reporting platform. We have now done that transformation automatically for you. So the moment you add the field in Contact Manager that evening, that field will be an available field in the business intelligence platform. So you don't have to do the mapping, you don't have to do the definition. It's done automatically for you on an overnight process. So the ability to quickly get insight is we're just making it faster for clients.
For sure.
Okay. A couple nice also enhancements that we've done from our e-learning library standpoint as well. We now actually support content not only that's been shared internally within our own e-learning library, but we can now reference content that the client may already have from that standpoint. So if you have training videos, PDF documents that you're hosting on a SharePoint site or maybe in some other place organizationally, we can of course respect that, and we can actually link out to that. So that way you don't feel like you have to actually load in all of the content directly in our platform. A really nice enhancement here as well for clients utilizing that portion of our product. And we've really done a number of things from our agent scheduling application side. So what you're seeing on the right hand is actually a mobile application that your agents can download. It's supported now in iOS and Android. So as you create schedules, as you communicate that, your agents can actually have their schedule at a single button press, if you will, off of their mobile application, and they can actually see that. So that's a pretty nice capability. And now the application supports notions of being able to put in, requests for time off or swapping shifts directly off of their mobile device, which is pretty great.
Very great with them working from home right now. I mean,
that's
super convenient. So that's a timely one. So that was awesome stuff. And with doing a time check here, we're actually doing pretty well on time. So let's talk a little bit about web chat, and then we'll start to move into some of the other multi-channel things we've got going on.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this, Jason. We've done so much on the chat landscape. And again, hats off to our team that's able to accomplish quite a bit. So what did we do first? First, we wanted to make sure that our clients have all of the right tools in order to be able to manage all of the chat conversations that are happening in real time. So we've actually created a chat monitoring dashboard that shows all of the available agents, who's handling all the chat conversations per agent, and it actually allows you to tap into each conversation and see verbatim the exchange there that's happening. Gives you a queue view, how long chats have been into queue, as well as average resolution time. So in other words, this is our version 1.0, if you will, of a dashboard that gives you the capability to manage this, this channel in real time. Okay, but we weren't done there. Why weren't we done there? Well, we have a lot of clients who are either in the customer service area or the telesales area where they're looking to optimize consumer behavior through the digital channel. Very specifically, they wanted to proactively reach out to consumers, wave their hand as the emoji would have there, and say, hello, we're here to help. And so we've now created a set number of rules that are triggered based on consumer patterns on the website, whether consumers are coming from a certain URL or splash page that you as a sales client have put forth, or whether it's time-based events based on people sort of hanging out and perusing on pages. You can now just invite people and say, hey, like, we're here to help. We have an agent available, and we'd love to connect with you. So this is our sort of foray one. I think as the channel matures, we'll add more and more rules to proactive web chat, but a nice start for us in this avenue. And then we've also added quite a lot of capability, to smooth over the conversations between consumers and agents. So I'll share just a couple of my favorite ones. So some of our favorite ones, of course, are is the consumer actually being able to provide you some feedback in terms of how the chat went, just a simple thumbs up, thumbs down kind of indicator that you can, of course, run a report on. In addition to that, customers or consumers can now exchange files. So let's say a consumer is having a problem. You can ask them to take a screenshot. You can ask them to pass a file along. We will pass that file to your consumer. Really sort of helps to solve a particular problem that somebody may be encountering. Pretty nice. And of course, Jason, I don't know about you, but sometimes emojis say more than a number of words. And so we've also added the emoji capability. Are you an emoji person, Jason?
Yeah, my kids are more than me, but I mean, look, it's becoming, if it's not already, it's the behavior of chat and SMS. So it just makes sense to have them in there. And I think while it's very casual, I think it yields a high return on customer experience and satisfaction, because it's a level of comfort and personal outreach. A smiley face goes a long way. You know that.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about this is that beyond this, what we've also added is the preview type feature. So sometimes customers may not know how to put certain things or certain frustration points that they're feeling directly into words. And you've seen this. You've probably typed somebody an SMS message before, and you said, "Oh, maybe this comes off the wrong way or a little too harshly." So what we're actually providing your agents now is an ability to actually view as the customer is typing and before they've actually submitted or hit enter, to send off that chat interaction. So your agent can actually get a sense of what the customer is going to say before they actually say it. And again, this helps your agents know the tone of the conversation, but also in some use cases, if it's a long story, if you will, from the customer, it helps them to identify the problem and start to sort of look into it and solve it much quicker.
Yeah, and I know you're going to talk about this a little bit in the future, but the fact is that most agents are going to be handling more than one chat, so it lets them get their cadence down of when they're prepared to respond. So it's customer satisfaction. Hey, this customer's typing, I better be ready to get this answer back out there.
That's right. Exactly.
So this is cool stuff. So let's talk a little bit about, and I know we're getting towards the end here. So let's talk a little bit about email and SMS, if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. a lot of enhancements here on the email and SMS side. One, just a capability standpoint. Before, we really had restrictions around how many concurrent chats, emails, SMS messages agents can have. We've now expanded that, so you can actually now control that. Why is this important? First of all, it's easy to do, and you can balance the notion of having different number of messages and message threads that an agent has per channel. Why is this important? Some folks who are getting started and are early, you don't want them to overwhelm themselves, take on quite a bit too much. Seasoned folks, you may want to be able to push them. Also, in addition to that, the number of messages somebody has in their personal inbox can vary based on the requests that they handle. So I know there's a few more than 10 emails in my inbox, Jason, but please don't ask me to have more than 2 SMS conversations. So it just gives our clients a lot of flexibility here. Okay. We've also made a couple of enhancements regarding being able to move conversations. So now a manager can view the conversations off of the dashboards that we've released before, and they can actually move the conversation. So if the conversation stalled, the agent maybe had to go to lunch, maybe the agent left for the day, or they're going to be in training for the next hour, a manager or supervisor can actually move a conversation and assign it to either another agent, or they can move them, of course, to the group queue so somebody else can pick up the conversation. And again, this is for SMS and email. So really a nice feature that gives our managers quite a bit of power. All right, a couple more things on SMS. So this one I'm very thrilled about, and I'm thrilled about the MMS capability, specifically for a couple of different use cases. We have a lot of marketers who are on the phone with us today who are talking about marketing use cases. Whether you're marketing a product or a solution and you want to attach an image or a coupon, we've made that easier. And we've made that easier by giving you the ability to actually utilize MMS in terms of your message sends. We, of course, also expanded this functionality to agents as well. So if there's a particular product or items queue that somebody needs to reference, they can do that very quickly and very easily. I think somebody told me once, Jason, that a picture says 1,000 words. Well, in the words of an SMS, that's actually very, very important. So we've made that possible. At the same time, we've also enhanced our campaign capability on the SMS side with pacing controls. I know a lot of our clients who are utilizing short codes and sending a lot of messages very quickly. We're at times feeling the pressure from actually way too many consumers responding. And so now you can actually pace out those SMS campaigns, and you can control that on a per second basis to say, hey, only send out X amount of messages per second. We've also created intelligent agent message books. So there's a lot of words for this. We've chosen the agent message book sort of category because we already had that within the platform. A lot of people will call this canned response messages. So what is this used for? And I want to draw the distinction specifically on this because we already have the notion of a templated email or a templated SMS. These message books are really there as efficiency gains for your agents. Instead of them having to say, hi and welcome to company ABC, you can actually put that in the message book. It helps to retain a certain, of course, level of professionalism that you would hope for agents. Two, instead of them having to type that over and over and every single time, it actually creates a lot of efficiency for them in being able to do that. These are essentially shortcuts, and the idea being is that an agent can paste that in, make a few little quick changes and move forward. The difference between this and the template is more rigid and more in place. This is more of an efficiency gain for agents, and so that's how I want, that's how we at least think about it here at LiveVox.
Yeah, I say this a lot. This goes back to empowering your agents to resolve the customer's needs as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. But it also gives you some level of comfort that you're giving the agents the tools to say and deliver the message the way you want them as an organization to do it, right? So again, we've all experienced this in our lives where you get that text message, you know, like I get it from my kids, and every third word is abbreviated in some way that I have to go look up, and you know, to your point, it takes away from the professionalism that you want to deliver. So this is a really cool feature for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Forward one. Jason, this is a monumental feature for us as we look to really bring in the notion of our software as an offering in addition to our public APIs as an offering. There are lots of clients today who are already utilizing email and SMS on our platform and sending out many campaigns. And I think that's wonderful. However, there are numerous amount of events, what I would call one-off events that occur within an organization that don't really constitute creating a campaign. This may be, you know, if you're in the financial services industry, an event around underwriting where you're saying, hey, please, you know, provide us the right paperwork. If you're in the healthcare industry, hey, please remember you have an appointment set today for this particular time. If you're in the retail space, hey, your order has shipped, right? And these events happen like one-off events, and they're happening around the clock all the time. And what we've really done is we've now made our email and SMS, you know, messaging capability as a public API. So you can either utilize this from a public API standpoint and provide us the entire content of the email and SMS as you wish, as you've created on your side completely, and send it through our platform. Or you may actually create a message template on our side and just reference it as you send. Now, a lot of folks on the phone here may be thinking, okay, well, what's the value in doing this through you or through LiveVox versus somebody else in the space that already does this? The big value add is that your contact center will be available, will have visibility to every single communication request that goes out. So if the consumer calls back in, you know, immediately after they receive that text, or tomorrow, the communication is glued to their contact profile and can be referenced to say, oh, hey, oh, I see this was an API request that went out for fraud alert on your account. I can help you take care of that. Okay. And then we've also made it easy for agents not to make errors. So I know we have clients managing lots of different portfolios at the service level, where they're utilizing multiple from email addresses, multiple phone numbers that they send out messages to. We now have a feature where you can actually lock down some of these things, and you can control the codes or the email addresses. So the agent doesn't see an entire huge list, and they're only going to be able to see the right email or the right SMS phone number to send out communication from. So we just made it simpler, made it easier, made it more consistent. I know this is also a feature that's been asked quite a lot about. Great. And then we've also made sure that our clients have the right way and the right capability to track all of the email and SMS usage, if you will. You know, there were lots of questions from our clients, especially around SMS billing and the counts of a message. As a lot of clients already are familiar with or already know, SMS messages are largely billed in 160 segments. This is now an SMS billing report that will reflect that accurately on our platform. So when you go in, you'll be able to see this, and you'll be able to see the fact that this is counted now in segments, not in actual messages. So please be aware of this. This is a change that's been asked a lot about, and we've delivered this in this release.
No, that's a cool one. So, Boris, I know we're coming to the end here, and folks, I see the questions. Looks like we're gonna have time to get to most of them, if not all of them. So, just wrapping up here, Boris, why don't you close us out with the enhancements you've made, you know, for the manager experience?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things that we've consistently heard is, hey, can you make it easy for me to manage my contact center? We've actually done quite a bit of a modernization effort regarding our monitoring UI. We've simplified the monitoring UI in a number of ways. We've made a number of widgets now resizable, depending on your focus area. You can, of course, still customize them. and we're going to show you a couple of those enhancements. One, of course, is the grid view that we've sort of modernized, so that way you could see your particular inbound contact center metrics in a nice sort of column setting and be able to compare that versus predefined timetables. If we move forward one. We've now also been able to set a setting to enable or disable monitoring in Barge. So we heard from a lot of folks, hey, we have these services that are being utilized, maybe even by back office employees, where I don't want people to monitor, I don't want people to Barge. You can now actually set that, so you could turn that on or off. So that way, certain back office employees are given a little bit more of a privacy setting.
Awesome. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, one comment, Jason. I think a lot of folks who are probably on the line here are hearing a lot of this and they're thinking, wow, there's quite a bit of features and quite a bit of capability. And then the other question may be, but Boris, what happened to 14? Did I miss a webinar? No, you didn't miss a webinar. With all transparency here at LiveVox, what I wanted to communicate to folks who are already on 13 today, or who are maybe thinking of going or of upgrading, we released 14. We saw some things that we didn't like. We saw some performance that we didn't like, specifically around usability. And we knew we were making very fast headway on 15. So we will be moving and we'll be effectively skipping 14 as a version for our clients. And so that is a version that's being skipped. So this is why you're actually seeing an abundance of features here, because this is a combination of both 14 and 15 features that you will be getting as you move to 15. So I know that maybe that's a question going through some of the customers' minds today, and I want to give you a little bit of clarity on that.
That's a good point to make. And Boris, I appreciate you taking the time today before we hop into the questions. I know you're busy, but as he pointed out, we covered a lot. So if there's something specific that you want more information on, obviously reach out to your account teams and we'll get the right resource on a call with you to go through those. So let's hop ahead here, Lindsay, and I'm gonna throw some questions out there, Boris. I will take the first one.
Sure.
And the question is simple. It says, can I assume that when using the personal phone book that minutes charges still apply to that talk time? And the answer is yes. So the intent of that personal phone book is not to make it a personal phone book. So you don't want the kids' school on there and maybe their boyfriend or the local pizza place. We're still hoping that those personal type calls and transactions will take place from their cell phone. So these types of personal phone books are meant for business transactions, hopefully. Boris, I'm going to let you have this one, and this one came in from a couple of folks. First, can a customer attach a document or a file in a web chat?
Yeah, so the answer is yes, absolutely. So we've created that in a bi-directional setting. So whether that's a customer or whether that's an employee on your side, you can now exchange documents. There's a 5 megabyte limit. So, obviously you can't send a transcription of a very long phone call to it, but if you have multiple files, you can send multiple files, but each file can't be more than 5 megabytes.
And staying on the web chat for a second here, because there was a handful of questions there, is in your example, it showed, hey, how can I help you? And the question is that that chat initiated before or after customer is verified? And I think that's kind of configurable, but I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, you're spot on, Jason. That is configurable. So you can invite people to chat, with that proactive chat invitation. You could start off every chat with sort of a generic greeting as well. We've done a lot of work with bots as well. So, you could start off a hello, authenticate the customer in semi-automated fashion as well, and then hand it off to the agent. So there's a lot of configurability in terms of how that's done. We're happy to share best practices with you on that.
Yeah, and there was actually a couple of questions around that. You just answered it, right? You can layer in, just like you would an IVR or anything else, you can layer in some level of process for your most common chat topics before you transition that to an agent. So there was a question from a few people about the Notepad. Could you clarify? The question is, does the Notepad save day to day, or is it kind of torn off and thrown in the trash when the agent logs out?
It's torn off and thrown off when the agent logs out for the day. So it refreshes.
Yeah, and it's important to mention here, this does not replace or take away from the fact that they can still add notes to a customer contact on UCRM. This is simply hey, maybe they need to remember to go turn their car off or whatever. This is maybe it's hey, I have to go up break at 2 o'clock. This is agent specific notes, not ideally customer specific notes. There's certainly a place for that still that is saved post log off. Correct.
Yeah, the notes section is at the contact or the account or the ticket level. So those are saved, like you said. Let's put it this way: it's an area to jot a few things. I know I like to jot a few things down, just so it actually helps me remember them better.
All right, we have time for one more here, and then we're going to let people have their day back. The CNAM information you mentioned on the back office agent, is it available to be pulled in from an API?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head, but we will get back to you. So please email somebody at LiveVox. We will tackle that down for you. I don't know the answer.
Okay, thanks. And Boris, I appreciate it. And if we missed your questions, I apologize. There was a bunch, and I tried to consolidate as many as I could there. Lindsay, I'm going to turn it back to you. Thank you, everybody, for your time today, and hopefully we answered your questions. If we missed it, I apologize. We'll make sure that Lindsay gets them out with follow-ups.
Awesome. Yes, thank you guys again for joining today's U15 webinar. We hope you'll join us for next month's April LiveVox Learning Lab. Again, if you have any questions around how you can go about the upgrade process, please feel free to reach out to your account team or email us at info@livevox.com, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, we will be sending out this recording as well as a copy of the presentation later this week, so be on the lookout for that, and we hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Thank you all again, and have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.